Hello everyone. So in today's mini lesson, we're being asked to simplify the following fractions. By the way, sometimes they'll say simplify, sometimes they'll say reduce, sometimes they'll say write the fraction in lowest terms. So what you need to do, you need to find the GCF for 18 and 45. So how do we find the greatest common factor for 18 and 45? Well, from the previous videos, we need to find first the factors of 18 and the factors of 45. So what are the factors of 18? Well, 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. So then all the factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18, right? So those are all the factors of 18. So now I gotta do the same thing for 45. I gotta find all the factors of 45. So 1 times 45, 2 times not 2, 3 times 15 here. I was looking at this number, sorry. And 5 times 9 gives me what? 45. So those are all the factors of 45. If you divide 45 by 7, you'll get a decimal. By 8, you get another decimal. If you divide 45 by 8, you get 5.625. Again, we only are interested in what whole numbers here, right? 5 and 9, 3, 15. So no decimals here. And then 9 times 5, well, 9 times 5 gives you what? 45, but we already repeated that pair. So that means there's no point of going 10, 11, 12, because you're going to get 15 and then eventually 45. So the factors of 45 are 1, 3, 5, 9, 15, and 45, right? So 1, 3, 5, yeah, I'll need this one's here. 1, 3, 5, 9, 15, and 45. So then, what's the common factors here? So what do they have in common? This one has a 1. This one also has a 1. This one has a 2. There's no 2 here. There's a 3 here and a 3 here. So 1 and 3. 6, but there's no 6 here. So 9, there's a 9 there. 18, there's no 18, there's no 45, there's no 15. So those are all the common factors of 18 and 45. So what's the greatest common factor here? So what's the GCF? In this case, what's the largest number from this list? Turns out to be 9. Well, what do I do with this information? So once I know what the greatest common factor is, I can go back to my fraction and I can simplify it, I can reduce it, I can write it in lowest terms. So how do I do that? Well, what you need to do is the following. You need to divide 18 by 9. So what's 18 divided by 9? 2. What's 45 divided by 9? 5. So 18 over 45 reduces to what? 2 over 5. So this is in the lowest terms here. So that's how you do it, how you simplify. This is one way of simplifying fractions. You find the greatest common factor for the numerator and for the denominator. By the way, this is the numerator and this is the denominator. So you get all the factors of 18, you get all the factors of 49, you find the common factors, and you find the greatest common factor. So let's look at another example. So let's say we had 21 and 35 here. So again, what do I need to do? I need to find the greatest common factor for 21 and 35. So find the GCF for 21 and 35. So how do I find the greatest common factor for 21 and 35? I gotta get the factors of 21. So that's 1 times 21 gives me 21. 3 times 7 gives me 21. 4 is not going to work. 5 is not going to work. 6 is not going to work. 7 times 3 gives me 21. But I already have 7 and 3 there. So then... again, 4, 5, and 6 and don't work. 7 times 3 is 21 here. So all the factors of 21 are 1, 3, 7, and 21. So I gotta now find the factors of 35. So 1 times 35, 5 times 7. So then again, 6 won't work. 7 times 5 is 35, but we already have the 5 and a 7, so there's no need for us to use those. So then what are the factors of 35 are 1, 5, 7, and 35. So what do they have in common here? So this one has a 1, this one has a 1, this one has a 3, and this one doesn't have a 3. There's a 7 in both of them. 21, but not here. So the GCF is gonna be what, 7. So that's the greatest common factor for 21 and 35. So once I have this information here, so once I have the 7, what's my next step? So now you go back to your fraction and you go ahead and divide the numerator, 21, by the GCF. And likewise the denominator by the GCF. So then for this one, my answer would be 3 over 5. So again, they're asking me to simplify this fraction, or sometimes they'll ask you to reduce this fraction or write the fraction in lowest terms. So you gotta find the greatest common factor for 21 and 35, which in this case turns out to be 7. And then, so once we get your greatest common factor, what do? You divide the top part and the bottom part by, in this case by 7, and also by 7 here, so you get 3 over 5 here. So let's look at one more example. So let's say we had 5 over 9. So again, we gotta find the GCF for 5 and 9. So what are the factors of 5? So 1 times 5. Those are the only factors of 5. So what are the factors of 9? So 1 times 9 and 3 times 3 gives me 9. So what's the greatest common factor? So the only factor they have in common is 1. So then the GCF in this case is 1 here. So once I have my greatest common factor, I can go ahead and simplify the fraction. So I'm gonna divide 5 by 1, also 9 by 1. But you notice that it's kind of pointless because you get back what, 5 over 9. So in this case, they're asking me to reduce 5 over 9, but I can't reduce 5 over 9 because it's already in lowest terms. So sometimes that happens when they ask you to simplify or reduce a fraction. You can't reduce it because it's already in lowest terms. So the bad thing about this, you don't really know unless you do a couple of problems like this, and then you kind of see, oh, 5 and 9 don't have a common factor besides 1. With practice, you get good at this. So, but this one, unfortunately, you had to do this and that, find the factors of 5, find the factors of 9, and then you realize that you can't reduce it any further. So then this would be my answer there.